Imagine your basic parenting 101 guide. If you just flip it on its head and actually genuinely do things the opposite way, that seems to work. So the reward charts and the naughty chair, none of that will work with children with trauma and kind of troubled minds. It just won't work because they're using the caveman part of the brain and they can't work out, they can't engage, they can't work out the consequences. And so I find that, you know, and you see this so many times at the point at which, often the point at which a child needs your love the most, they'll ask for it in the most difficult way. And it's kind of holding your nerve when they do things like that. So meal times, for example, in my house are horrendous. Meal times, how I thought I should be doing them, were horrendous for years because it's tea time and everyone has to sit down. And everyone has to sit down and everyone has to use cutlery. And this is what you have to do. Who says that? Why? Why do you have to do that? Yes, children need to learn how to eat properly and behave appropriately for any situation and use their cutlery. But who says that you all have to be together? There's so much pressure put on us, kind of just trickles through from everywhere, even, you know, media, and that you must sit down as a family and you must all sit around the table and it's so important. I would like to see someone try and say that's still true after sitting at the end of a school day with my 3 dragons and try and survive a mealtime with them all around a table, because it is like the OK Corral. It's impossible. So I accepted that my family was extraordinary. So it was never going to look ordinary. So holidays were never going to look ordinary. Mealtimes were never going to look ordinary. Christmases were never going to look ordinary. All the times that my children struggle with were never going to be ordinary. And you do grieve for a little time because you imagine it's going to be perfectly ordinary. And so you grieve a little bit and you have to allow yourself to grieve a little bit that it's not going to be. But then it turns out that extraordinary is actually better. It's more special. To me, it's more fun. It's more exciting. So we have mealtime separately. And I think it's safe to say that, you know, maybe once a week, a lot of parents would say that, you know, everyone likes to sit down to have a meal together, but certainly with teens, there's not many mothers who sit down at every mealtime with their children, like, because you're clearing up or you're getting puddings ready or whatever. So my children now, wherever they are most comfortable in the house at that time, because it's important that I need to get them to eat, because that impacts on their mental state. So wherever they are in the house, whatever they're doing, when it's time to eat, I have a stack of equipment. So I have trays with legs on, I have trays with bean bags. So depending where they are, I can facilitate them eating a meal properly without mess and for them to enjoy it. And I don't get sad anymore that we're not all sitting at the kitchen table and everyone eats all of their food at their own pace. Middle boy inhales in about 4 minutes. My biggest boy will take a leisurely hour and a half sometimes to eat his tea, and it's freezing cold, but it doesn't matter, but he eats it. And my little girl likes everything cut up into tiny little pieces. So everyone takes a different length of time, and I then actually get to sit down with them, but it's in different rooms. And I'll have a few minutes chat with each of them. Sometimes I might make a cup of tea if I'm lucky and if I remember to take it with us. And I'll go and sit with them wherever they are. Sometimes it's in the kitchen. Sometimes 2 of them will just gravitate to the kitchen and then I'll kind of allow that to happen. But you have to referee it very carefully. But I don't get sad anymore that everyone doesn't sit around the table. And I think that was a huge, huge point for me, because by allowing that not to happen anymore, but by getting the equipment that made it happen comfortably and nicely, because I wanted them to feel like, well, I just don't want them to feel different, because it's not a different is, it's drummed into us that different isn't good, certainly when you're younger. So I wanted them to think that, the mealtime is kind of lovingly given to them, and it's not just, well, you'll just have to eat it here off your knee kind of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it made me feel better and probably more in control that I had the equipment that would facilitate them to eat literally anywhere in this house. Sometimes in the backyard, on a little blanket if it's sunny, wherever it is that they're comfortable. I have had more than one meal served sitting on the floor in the utility room next to the dog's crate, because at that point they were busy playing with the dog and they didn't really want to move. So it's like I have let them sit and do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it took me making my peace with it when I did that, when I accepted that meal times weren't going to be together anymore. The tension in the house just instantly dropped about 3 notches, because every day meal times caused such problems that I would then get really upset, and it would all blow out of proportion, and that would carry through to bath time, bedtime and going to bed every single day. And it was just absolutely insane. And the same on a morning with breakfast, wherever they are in the house. If one's got up really, really early, so he's downstairs watching some crazy gaming tutorial on YouTube, he'll get his breakfast in the living room. If my little girl's still pottering about upstairs in her bedroom, her breakfast will be taken up on a tray. And it's not me pampering them or pandering to them. I am simply delivering life to them in an extraordinary way, because they are extraordinary. And it's little things like that where I think sometimes think it's a bit easier that I haven't got a partner living in the house with us to say, they're absolutely ruined, you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't be doing that. So I do recognise that it's so much easier that I call the shots and I make those decisions, and I have got nobody looking at me saying, well, you've got them absolutely ruined, you shouldn't be doing that. But I would urge anyone to try little things like that. Especially if you're struggling with meal times, try and, if you can, split them up. And sometimes I will, depending on what they're eating, they have to sit at the table to eat it, but then I'll just stagger it by about 10 minutes. So the fast eater comes first, he has his tea and then goes to do his own thing. And then a mixture of two is always all right, but I've got an island in my kitchen and a kitchen table, and I did that to be able to physically separate if they have to be in the kitchen together. And it's just accepting that that's just what my life looks like, and that it's not because for a long time I did think, oh, this is just so hard. Everything's just so hard. But actually, you've got full control over that, and it is as difficult as you choose to allow it to be. There's always a path of least resistance, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I normally go down that path, and so far that's working out for me compared to how it was a few years ago, definitely.